welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a bit of life stuff thrown in. And today is Sunday the 3rd of March and we are just a few days away from a stitching challenge that I have been doing for the last couple of years, and this will be the third year, and I'm really excited. I'm chomping at the bit to being able to getting into that particular challenge. And I also have a finish, and I've been able to do a bucket load of stitching since we last caught up. So let's get into it. The first project that I have to share with you is Fight Like a Girl. I was able to get about 220 stitches, give or take, over a couple of days. And this was back around the 18th and 19th of February. And Fight Like a Girl, this is roughly what it'll look like when it's done. It's designed by Tanya Amity, based on artwork by Elena Zhnetkova. I hope I pronounced that surname properly. But it is a project that I've had in the works for quite a few years now, and it's a project that, especially over the last couple of years, has featured heavily in a stitching challenge that I will get into more detail later in this episode. But this is where I'm at, and over the course of a few days, I was focusing mostly on this purple book here, just near Pippi Longstocking, and this project is becoming a fun one to stitch. I'm stitching this on 18 count navy blue Aida using all DMC threads, and it uses a combination of two strands of one DMC color, or it might include one strand, or I'll rephrase. It is using it's always using two strands of DMC, and to get the variegation in this picture, the designer has chosen to either use just two strands of one color or two strands using two different colors. So it might be one strand of 310 and then the second strand might be 414. And that's where it's getting the shading. The shading is probably the better wording I should have used rather than variegation. Either way, it's turning out pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to getting more work done on this, and it'll be all cool. I'm rambling a little bit here. My goal is to reduce the amount of ramble that happens. The next project that I have to share with you is a stitch in time. And this stitch in time is, so just after stitching on Fight Like a Girl on February the 21st and 22nd, I did like a little bit of stitching on Spring and Stars Hollow, and over the course of those 2 days it was roughly 50 odd stitches, so it's not quite worth me sharing the progress on it just yet. However, it has been my main focus for the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to actually showing you towards the end how much I've actually gotten done on Spring and Stars Hollow, which is designed by Katie Landis for the Black Needle Society, and I'll go into more detail when we get to that particular project. What I do want to share with you now is my progress on a stitch in time. And I worked on a stitch in time on the 23rd of February. The artwork is by Amy Stewart, and I'm doing the mini version of this particular project. And if anyone here is familiar with a stitch in time, you'll know this particular piece of artwork quite well. And I will always say this every time I come up to this particular project, where there are people who are doing the max colours and such with the project, and hats off to them. This is where I'm at so far with the stitching time, and I've been focusing mostly on the green section of this shelf and trying to fill in some of the gaps. And what I'm doing with this piece is trying to fill in as much as I can around here and work my way down. And a couple of years ago, at the most, I did try to do some cross country stitching in terms of the extreme cross country stitching, and I did reasonably okay, but I decided to pause that style of stitching because I found that I made a little bit of a mistake where I was miscounting and I was out by one or two stitches. And so that's why I've decided to just keep focusing on the green section and just eventually match up with some of the amber light orange colours or light brown colours that we see here, because I think it was somewhere around here that I'd mucked up. So I'm looking forward to getting that net up, and I have no doubt that I'll be able to get that done hopefully by the end of later this year in terms of the joining up of the spring and autumn sections of that piece. So it was 150 stitches. I don't remember if I mentioned that. And also with all of the pieces that I'm working on, they're all DMC threads. Some will be 1/1, some 2/2, or any combination of which. So if by chance I forget to mention that with all of the pieces that I'm sharing with you today, hopefully you'll be able to start to see some of the differences where I'm using 2/1, 2/2, 1/1, and any difference in between there. Okay, so with that in mind, the next piece I have to share with you is my progress on the Spanish proverb of, the words will come back to me, but let's get on to sharing that piece. On the 24th and 25th of February, I worked on the Spanish proverb, a life lived in fear is a life half lived. And this particular, I guess, proverb or particular chart is inspired by the Australian movie Strictly Ballroom. And even though I've not watched the movie for many, many years, it is one of my favourite movies because it is dancing, it's Australian, and it was just really well done for the time. And in terms of the actual cross stitch piece I'm working on, this is my progress, and I've been focusing on filling in the butterfly here a bit, and we can start to see that I'm working my way up the wing just a little bit and trying to fill it out a little bit. And this particular piece is being stitched on 18 count Aida. I'm not quite sure what colour to best describe this one. I am happy with how this is all going. This is just two strands over one fabric square, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And it does have a little bit of confetti in it, but I think it's going to be worth it. And I'm saying the word "and" too many times. I very much recognise that. I'm looking forward to getting more progress done on this one. So that's it. Over 2 days, I got at least 277 stitches done, noting that on the 25th of February, my boyfriend and I were travelling back from Malua Bay, so I wasn't able to get as much stitching done as I would have liked. It was well worth travelling though. So even though I mentioned that I wasn't happy with the amount of stitching that I got done on the 25th of February at least, I made up for that on Monday, the 26th of February, by focusing on Dewdrop Daisy, which is a hot cross stitching design and a new regular on this channel. And This particular piece, I was able to get about 400 to 500 stitches done, and thankfully it was solid block stitching. And if anyone watching here is an avid cross stitcher, you very much may be aware of how much stitching you can get done when you are just focusing on one colour. And I've been focusing on this bottom corner here, if I can stop it from moving. So I've been focusing down here just to really get a lot of that stitching completed, and that's where the 400 to 500 stitches was put in. And I'm sounding a little bit vague on the 400 to 500 stitches because I had it properly marked off on Pattern Keeper where I'd done some of the stitching from roughly a month ago when I'd been down in Canberra to pack up my house a bit. So I think in that case I potentially had forgotten to take my tablet with me to Canberra, so I needed to rely on my phone and the chart that I had there, that I hadn't used that version of Pattern Keeper for a while. And I think it's all balanced out now, which is good. So next time I go to sit down and work on Dewdrop Daisy, I will have a more accurate number. But it's all cool. What I am keen to do now though is we're now up to the 27th of February, and from the 27th of February through to, I guess, yes, actually no, not quite yesterday, would have been the 1st of March. So over the space of about 4 days, I focused solidly on Spring in Stars Hollow, and this is what the project looks like when it's complete. If I had followed the chart exactly and used all of the called for colours. If by chance you are a returning viewer and you've seen me talk about Spring in Stars Hollow, or perhaps Autumn in Stars Hollow, or even Summer in Stars Hollow, you'll know that I've been personalising these charts to use some of the colours that I have in my stash, and I think it's still worked out okay. And it's done. I have finished stitching Spring in Stars Hollow, and I guess from a distance, for much of muchness, it looks quite similar to what the cover page has recommended, or what the cover page has shown. The significant differences are the colours, some of the colours that I've used. So, for example, the body of the dragonfly that we see up near Suki, that's a variegated thread, except for the wings. I have very much used the called for colours for the wings. And the difference, however, is that with the body of the dragonfly, the variegated, my words, getting tongue-tied. I've used a variegated thread that came in one of the stitching boxes, perhaps for Summer in Stars Hollow, and it's this beautiful variegated thread that I think it might have been Colour and Cotton, and they may have called it Ice Cream Queen. However, I think it works quite well, and I'm not sharing it very well. My main regret though is the head of the dragonfly isn't prominent, and I do regret a little bit that the variegated or variegation for the head of the dragonfly was light, and that I could have chosen to use a darker thread or change things around in some way to help it stand out. However, that's part of the personalisation, I think, and it was an unintentional thing, but I'm happy with how it is. Some of the other slight differences is the basket, for example. The the basket was charted in a slightly different way, and I wanted to use a variegated thread in my stash that I hadn't touched at all. And in hindsight, I do regret a little bit how I chose to stitch the basket, where I was just going from left to right and and stitching it in that way. And in hindsight, I could have stitched it in a stitched the variegated thread in a similar way to how the basket was charted. And if I stitch this pattern again, I will most likely stitch it in that particular way to still use a variegated thread, but to try and make the most of actually showing where the lighter parts of the basket should be compared with the darker parts to I just give it a different feel. That said, I am just so happy that this is done, and it means that I'm able to now focus on Summer in Stars Hollow, especially between now and this coming Thursday. That said, I want to show you where I've gotten up to with the Summer in Stars Hollow. So this is where I'm at for Summer in Stars Hollow, and for anyone here who is familiar with the Summer in Stars Hollow piece, you will already have picked up on the personalizations that I've chosen for this piece so far, and I don't regret it. I think the vibrancy of the blues that we see where the sunflower daisies are, I think is pretty cool. And this is where it's going to start to challenge me a little bit. So the slightly lighter but vibrant blue that we see here, the core full colour is a lighter shade of a DMC thread that I have in my stash. However, at the moment, I don't think it works as well with this other vibrant blue that is a DMC thread. I think it's 995 or 996, and then whatever. So depending on what this darker blue is, the lighter one is the number that's just after it. So if this darker blue is 995, then this lighter blue is the 996. And what my intention is as I start stitching a little bit further down, this lighter blue, let's call it the 996, is going to be that blue sky that is around the gazebo. And what I'm wanting to eventually do is perhaps see if I can start blending this 996 with the other DMC thread that's meant to be there, to see if it gives a really nice variegation to flow down, because I think that's what I might have done with the Autumn in Stars Hollow. And by memory, the summer is meant to sit directly next to the Autumn in Stars Hollow, and I don't think I'll be connecting the pieces up like they are designed to be. Actually, to help put into context, bear with me for a moment. I'm going to see if I can get these pieces lined up to give you an idea of how it may work. Okay, so here we have Autumn in Stars Hollow, and I guess the blue that you can see just behind the gazebo here is a lot of the shading, similar to what is due to be charted here for the gazebo in Summer in Stars Hollow, with the exception of, I guess, more vibrant colours because we're in summer. And I guess where I am contemplating the merging and blending of the 996 with the 828 or similar shading of that lighter blue in DMC, that's where I'm sort of contemplating the merging and blending of those two colours, just to help with how it can potentially look at the end. But by the same token, if I'm going to be having these two pieces, the summer and the autumn, in Stars Hollow as fully separate pieces, then to an extent, stitching the blue behind the gazebo in summer in Stars Hollow, I could potentially get away with it being that vibrant, and as long as the rest of the colours that I choose for the rest of the piece, where it would have an over dyed thread or specialty thread or something in between, it could all balance out. Again, I feel like this is a choose your own adventure to an extent, and I will probably and ah over it throughout the time that I'm working on it. And my reason for focusing on Summer and Stars Hollow so intensely over the next few days is at the end of March. I was almost going to say August, and I don't know why I've got August on the brain at the moment. So at the end of March, August, autumn, that could be it. So at the end of March is the not summer, spring, winter. It is the Winter in Stars Hollow Stitching Retreat, hosted by the Black Needle Society. That is the online event, and it is going to be the last instalment of, I guess, the 4 seasons that we've experienced. And it's going to be a bittersweet thing. I've very much enjoyed the last 3 installments, and it's got me contemplating and searching and wondering what other stitching retreats I can be involved with. And I'm also looking at other online events that the Black Needle Society are hosting as just general stitching catch ups and something along those lines that I can participate in or be involved with. The challenge is the time zones, so that's where I'm also looking at more local events as well that are within Australia, that are a comfortable travelling distance as well if it happens to be in person. I'm looking forward to seeing what results I can come up with and seeing what opportunities are available for the rest of this year at least, and who knows what can happen next year. That said, I want to get on to my next stage or next segment, which is the stitching challenge that is going to start around the 6th of March. Okay, so one of the things that I'm really excited about starting on Thursday, the 7th of March, is the AFL Stitching Challenge, and it's based around the Australian Football League season, and they are starting their season just a little bit earlier this year. They're starting on the 7th of March and going through to the 28th of September, and then they'll have grand finals and all those fun things that a lot of sports have. And the premise of this challenge is to assign a cross stitch project to an AFL team. And there are currently 18 teams in the league, and so I have at least 18 projects that I want to see some progress on. And what I'm doing is the team that wins their particular match, I will then work on a project that I've assigned to that team and use their final score as the amount of stitches that I need to put into a project. And what I like about this style of the challenge is that there's a randomness to it in terms of what the final score may be. So, for example, on Thursday, the 7th of March, the Sydney Swans are going to be playing against a team called the Melbourne Demons. And with that team, or with that match rather, if Sydney Swans win that game, for example, and they score a total of 120 points, that means that I put 120 stitches into the project that I have assigned to the Sydney Swans. And with this particular segment of my Flosstube, I'm just going to be showing you some of the projects that I'm going to be working on and which teams I've assigned to which project. And the great thing with this particular challenge over the last few years is that I've actually been able to get a few projects finished that I may not otherwise have been able to get done if I hadn't tried to focus on those pieces. And it just happened to be that some of the teams that were connected to those projects did really well during the AFL seasons as well. So let's get into it. I am super excited about starting my stitching challenge that is going to kick off on Thursday, the 7th of March, and travel right through to the 28th of September. Who knows what will happen after that, but I am super looking forward to the stitching challenge that is based around the AFL season. And this stitching challenge is in the third, if not fourth year that I've done this. And the premise of this stitching challenge is for me to feel productive while I'm watching the Australian Football League. And I figured that why not try and see some progress on at least 18 projects while the AFL season is going. So if you go to the Hot Cross Stitching website, you'll see that there's a tab to do with challenges. And I think within the last 18 months or so, I put together this document that really goes in depth and explains what the challenge is, how it works, and some possible options if you want to try and make it work for you. The way that I'll be doing the challenge this year is I have assigned 18 projects to the 18 teams that make up the league, and some of the projects are returning familiars and others are new projects that I started either earlier this year or towards the end of last year. Some may be brand new starts. When I started writing up the list of the projects that I wanted to see progress on, as I started analysing and reviewing, I started to make amendments and change things around. So I hope I can stick to the list that I have set for myself. Now, if by chance you do look at the PDF Word doc that I've got up on the Hot Cross Stitching website, I've put suggestions that you can assign projects to the teams based on their team colours or their mascots. That's what I've done in years gone by, and what I'm doing this year is to an extent assigning the projects with those sort of themes, but I'm being a little bit more flexible about it this time because there are some projects that I just really want to see progress on. So with that in mind, the notes that I've got on my side here, I'll be referring to them a bit just to help myself stay on track. And the first team that I have in my list is the Sydney Swans. And last year I was able to get the 12 Days of Christmas finished because of the birds being in that particular piece. So still going by the theme of birds, I am going to be looking to get some progress on pelicans. And I changed it to pelicans because in my initial listing I had a new start listed up for a pattern that I'd photocopied out of one of the gold cross stitching magazines. And when I started looking at that chart, I realized that I'd stitched myself up, so to speak, where I hadn't photocopied the chart very well. I hadn't photocopied I guess, the key very well. And the aim of photocopying was to have a working copy so I could actually cross off and mark off as I stitched. However, I am leaning back to doing this new start because I have found through other means a workable chart, and I don't have the magazine with me at the moment. It's most likely in Canberra in a box in the garage, and I won't be travelling to Canberra for at least another month. So it'll be okay. I am excited about the new start. So that said, Sydney Swans are playing the opening game for the opening round on Friday, not Friday, Thursday. They are going to be playing against a team called the Melbourne Demons. And Melbourne Demons, over the last few years, I assigned the project Fight Like a Girl. And I might still use Fight Like a Girl for Melbourne Demons because their team colours are predominantly navy blue with a little bit of red. And Fight Like a Girl, I am stitching on navy blue fabric. So we'll wait and see how things go. However, the next team that I have on my list is the GWS Giants, and the project I have assigned to them is artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Design, which is the mini Stitch in Time. And I've already shown progress on where I'm at for this piece, and I would love to get a lot of progress done on this piece. And I've assigned that project because I just want to get work done on it. It's got that autumn banner, and if you do look up the team colours for GWS Giants, they've got predominantly orange with a bit of white and grey in their jerseys. So they've also been tipped to be very strong contenders to take out the premiership flag for the season, and I strongly believe that they could. I really hope that they at least do well so I can get progress on this piece. The next team on my list is the Geelong Cats, and in years gone by, over the last few seasons, sorry for crinkle sounds, I have worked on a piece called Barnyard Kittens, which is a dimensions kit, and this will most likely appear in the rotation. But I'm also wanting to get a lot of progress done, if not finishing, a piece called the Four Seasons Kittens, which again is a dimensions kit, and it's more specifically part of the gold collection. And the main reason why I want to get so much work done on Four Seasons Kittens is that I just have 1/4 to go and then I'm done. And to put into context, this is where I'm at. Yes, there is a little bit of a coffee stain on this piece, and it's going to get washed because it is a very old piece that has been in my stash for quite a while, and you can sort of see why I want to get it done because I'm just so close to actually finishing it. We'll get there. I really hope I can get it done next 2 years. Let's be honest, next 2 years. The next piece that I have that is part of a team called Port Adelaide Power, and their team colours is predominantly teal with white and black, and I'm going to be working on Pisces. This is where I'm at so far, and it does have a lot of that teal colour in it, which I think will just work really, really well. Okay, next piece that I have is for Adelaide Crows. Now, initially when I was writing up my list, I had assigned Rolled Up Daisy, the black and white Rolled Up Daisy for this piece, for this team, and this was the piece. However, I'm changing my mind a little bit on this one because I have quite a, actually surprising number of pieces in my collection that are bird related. So if I start the swans themed project that I have in mind that I need to kit up means that I can then work on the pelicans piece for the Adelaide crows, even though pelicans are not a black animal, they are a bird. This is the logic that I'm going with. So you can sort of see where I'm getting at of changing things around a little bit and not being fully fixed on a specific type of bird or fully fixed on the team colours. This is where I'm still working with those themes. I'm just wanting to see some progress on those sort of projects. However, I do have a lot of dark coloured or dark themed projects that I can fit into crows if need be. Okay, so with that in mind, the next team that I want to see try and do well this year is the Fremantle Dockers. Fremantle Dockers are predominantly purple and white in their team colours. I could go with the sea theme and start the other project connected with pelicans, and I could do fishing trawlers. Fishing trawlers because they have anchors. Anchors is the symbol for the Fremantle Dockers. Boats get docked. You see where I'm going with this one? I hope you do. So that said, I want to get a lot of progress done on Dewdrop Daisy. Dewdrop Daisy is being stitched on purple fabric, and I am just 10,000 or so stitches away from getting that piece finished. That is going to be one of my focus pieces for this year that I really want to see finished. Fingers crossed I can make that happen and I find that focus that the piece truly deserves. The next piece that I want to work on is connected to Melbourne Demons. So I mentioned Melbourne Demons being associated with the Fight Like a Girl piece. However, I changed my mind when I was writing up my listing here of what I want to assign to Melbourne Demons. And what I decided upon was a piece that I'm scrolling through for right now, and it is Halloween Treats 2. So this is the Tilton Crafts design, and with this piece I started in the center of it, and I started it last year during the spooky stitching in October last year, and I really want to see some progress on this piece. The next piece is the zebras, which I have assigned to the Gold Coast Suns. So this is zebras. Gold Coast Suns, their colours are sort of an orangey red and yellow. We've got orangey red and yellow, but we also have that wide variety of colour that I think is very much associated with summer and colour and fun and vibrancy. And I think it just works out really well because we then have the next piece of the, where are we? Moonlit Waters. Now, I should be more organised. Eagles. West Coast Eagles. Okay, again, I do have quite a few bird-themed pieces. However, Moonlit Waters deserves a bit of love. It really does. This is where Moonlit Waters is currently at, and it deserves a lot of attention. And this is where I am trying to put good juju, good vibes out to say that West Coast Eagles deserve to play better than what they have in recent years. And so I have probably put the knockers on them now, and they probably won't play well. Anyway, that said, the next piece that I'll be working on during the AFL stitching season is Trio of Dogs, and this is connected to the Western Bulldogs. This is where I'm at for Trio of Dogs. There will be two other Labrador puppies as well, a Golden Labrador and a Black Labrador, and I can't remember just off the top of my head the name of the company who has charted this, but it's a kit that I've had in my stash for ages, and I will find the cover page. It is floating around. It's around. The next piece that I want to work on is, where are we? I Count My Lucky Stars. So I Count My Lucky Stars, I'm sure everyone is familiar with it, and I don't have it sitting with me right now. Or do I? Here we are. Okay, I Count My Lucky Stars. Anyone who has been watching this channel for a while will know that I've gotten the words all stitched. I'm now focusing on the border, and it's going to be several years in progress, but it's going to get there. It's going to turn out beautifully. It's going to be awesome. And then the next piece that I want to see progress on is His Master's Voice. His Master's Voice is a project that is artwork by Lisa Parker, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I have this piece assigned to the magpies. However, you've heard me ramble on a bit about the magpies and teams and colours and stuff, so his master's voice is going to fit in somewhere. His master's voice could fit in with the Geelong Cats if I get Four Seasons Kittens and Barnyard Cats finished. It can be my backup, but I've also got Christmas Cats by Custom Crafts that I started at the end of last year, and quite a few other projects. So again, if I need just to really pump out some stitches, I've got His Master's Voice mini to do. The next team that is in my list is the Carlton Blues. So Carlton Blues are exactly that. They don't have a specific mascot like swans, tigers, or lions or anything like that. They're just known as the Carlton Blues. So in the last few stitching challenges I've done, I have worked on Fight Like a Girl because blue fabric. However, this year I've assigned a piece that is a model piece that I'm stitching in preparation for some things that I want to do in November, to do with stitching, to do with this channel, and things that are connected to personal life that I can't get into just yet. Not because it is personal, but I just really want to get this this model piece done to then show everyone how it looks, to then provide context. So I'm really sorry for being super shady about this and evasive. But what I can say is that the piece that I'm working on is being stitched on navy blue fabric. So that's the best that I can, that's the most that I can give right now for the stitching that I'm working on. And it does have blue threads in the piece as well. So it is still very much related to the Carlton Blues because of the colour of the team. Okay, next piece. Which team? Fight Like a Girl, yes. Okay, Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, Fight Like a Girl has a lion in it from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So this piece is appearing yet again. The next one is I wanted to say Carlton Collingwood Magpies, black and white. This is where the black and white rolled up daisy is very much going to be connected to the magpies. They may also have the reader connected to them. The reader is another Lisa Parker artwork that's being charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. However, it is a cat. Cats are part of the tiger family. And so this is where the Richmond Tigers could fit with this as well. I do have a piece which I might kit up as well. That is very much an actual tiger piece that could very much fit into things. So again, so many options. This is where I want to start all the things, and I've got all these ideas of charts that I want to design and pump out, and if only I could get paid to stitch full time. I think for many of us that is the ultimate goal, the ultimate dream, to be paid to do cross stitch and to actually be recognized for the stitching that we do, and to be paid a wage that is enough for us to comfortably live on. And that price may vary quite a bit. It all depends on your comfort levels. I'm getting sidetracked, so let's get back into the stitching. The next team that I have is the Essendon Bombers. Essendon Bombers have the team colours of black and red, and bombers being associated with the aeroplanes from World War II that drop bombs. And this is, what am I doing? I am doing Trick or Treat 2, which is artwork by Randall Spangler and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I'm really keen to actually see some progress on this piece. And I'll just get out. Oh, sorry. I have rechanged my setup here with microphones and also I'm bumping things and just being my normal self really with being awkward. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen my progress, this is the piece of Trick or Treat 2, and it is looking a little bit different to what the Randall Spangler piece is, and there's a story behind that. I won't get into it now, but if you are curious, I can definitely provide some extra details. That said, Hawks, the Hawthorn Hawks, the second last team in my list here of what I'm wanting to do. This particular piece is not directly related to a bird of flight. However, it is got movement in it. So this is a hot cross stitching design. It is the Spanish proverb of a life lived in fear is a life half lived. And this is, I think, a very special piece because I've got it assigned to the Hawthorn Hawks. And just to go off track a little bit, my pop, he passed away in September last year. So this is going to be a tough year, especially just with AFL and such, because my pop was born in Victoria. He grew up in Victoria. And for anyone who, especially any Aussies who are watching, we know that Victoria is the birthplace of the Australian Football League, specifically the Victorian VFL, so the Victorian Football League, and it then eventually became a national sport. And so much to the point where Victorians have Melbourne Cup, or they have Grand Final Day as a public holiday because it is such a big event, a big sport, an important sport to a lot of Victorians and many Australians, Australia-wide. But that's me just getting a little bit sentimental and sidetracked. But yeah, it's going to be okay. The last team in the season, in the fixture is the North Melbourne Kangaroos. I react this way because North Melbourne Kangaroos, they had a very hard season last year. They were the wooden spoon team. They may have won perhaps 3 games at the most. And so I would love to think that they will do a lot better this year. However, I don't think so. Um, this is actually me being a realist in this sense, because there's a lot of work that North Melbourne need to do to start being strong contenders for the Premiership flag. That said, with North Melbourne, I've assigned the artwork by Stephanie Law, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, Inner Works of Life, which I've nicknamed Tree of Life, to North Melbourne. And it'll be interesting to see how much work I actually get done on that piece. So that's it in terms of the AFL Stitching Challenge. We've pretty much come to the end of the stitching side of things for this channel, and I just want to say thank you so much for bearing with me for this episode. It has been a bit of a tongue-tied, fumbling kind of episode. It definitely feels that way, and I really, really do love being able to catch up with all of you and share with you the progress I've made on the different projects that I have been working on, and especially when I started talking about and listing up the projects that I want to work on for the AFL Stitching Challenge, it helped me to appreciate just how many projects I have on the go and how many more I need to work on, that I've started, that I want to start, and everything in between. And I just want to say thank you so much for bearing with me on this. And I now have just a little bit of a life update that I will try and keep brief and concise. And I just want to get into it. Let's make a start. So yesterday, Michael and I, my boyfriend and I, we travelled south to a township called Berry, and Berry to me is the place that I went to for a school camp many, many moons ago, and we never actually went into the town centre. The camp was actually X amount of kilometres out of the township. I don't really even know what the distance was. And it was really nice to actually go and check out the main street. And the main street, with the type of shops that they have there, reminded me so much of the township of Berry. Not Berry, we were at Berry. The township of Mogo. If anyone here has heard of Mogo, travelled there, been there, and actually looked at many of the shops, you'll understand what I'm getting at here. And it was really cool being able to check it all out. And one of the really cool things that I got when I was there at Berry is a tarot deck. So it's thankfully the cards actually are not this big, because my hands, by comparison, I would struggle a lot. I was almost not going to purchase this because I thought the cards were going to be the same size as this box. But a few years ago when I was at Mogo, I had picked up a slightly smaller, or I picked up a similar deck, and it looked just so familiar. And it turns out that the Brainworks person behind this deck is also the same person behind the other deck that I have, which is this. So when I saw it with the steampunk side of things, I just love the artwork. I am still very much learning a bit about tarot and that kind of thing. And I do have a unicorn themed inspired deck that I've had since I was a teenager, but I've not actually started delving into properly until the last 5 years or so. And I just really, really wanted to share with you that I bought the deck, and I also bought these two really beautiful, and I don't have them immediately here, these two really beautiful notebooks. And I say beautiful notebooks in the sense that it's the covers of these notebooks that are absolutely beautiful, and I just wanted to have them in my stash. So getting back to this artwork and this particular tarot deck, part of why this thing is so huge is because of the book. So it comes with this book here, and then one of the really cool things to provide context is that it gives this really cool description of what the cards mean, and sorry, I'm bumping things. What it all means, how you can use the cards, and for example, that's just one of the cards, and what they look like. It's just absolutely beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know the deck and understanding how I can do these different spreads, and understanding how I can use them. And that was just the excitement that I just really wanted to share with everyone here. And so I'll wrap up now. I'll say goodbye, and if by chance you have enjoyed what you've seen here, the cross stitch projects that I'm working on, if you'd like to see more progress of what I've been doing and everything in between, make sure you subscribe, click on that bell to get notifications for when I next release a video, and make sure you click on the like button as well. And if you do have any questions, comments, or anything, like any form of interaction with this channel, I will greatly appreciate, because it will help with all of the algorithms and such that go with YouTube, and it will let YouTube know that you enjoy this content and that you would perhaps like to see more of this type of content and similar content. So until then, I hope to see you all in another couple of weeks, and until then, happy stitching.